The Manifesto concert is all about celebrating urban music from beyond and within Canadian borders. And right now, I'm standing with a homegrown talent, Solitair. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So today's concert, why did you want to be a part of it?
I wanted to be a part of it because I wanted to be a part of it from the very first time that they had it. I do a lot of traveling with Cardinal, and we every time that this show was taking place, we were out of town, so we were never able to be a part of it. And they reached out to me this year, and I was like, you know what? It's perfect. We actually just came off the road, and I had some free time. I'm in the studio working on my new album. So I was like, it's perfect timing. So I'm glad to be a part of it this year for sure.
Sounds good, sounds good. So what do you think concerts like this mean for Toronto?
I think it means that Toronto is definitely elevating as a world-renowned talent pool for hip-hop. And it's great that we're now starting to really celebrate it and among our peers and among the city at large. And I think Manifesto has been doing a great job with the performances that they've been coming up with, for sure. Yeah.
Speaking of Canadian hip-hop, how do you think the Canadian music landscape has changed in the past few years?
I would have to say one thing that's definitely elevated is the pride and the hometown pride and the quality of the music that's been coming out. The up-and-coming kids out there are showing a lot of that they've grown as artists and representing the city and what our experiences are. Absolutely. And yeah, the talent, the pride is definitely a lot further along than when we were coming up. It was a lot harder too. There's a lot more roadblocks coming up, but now the world is definitely taking notice, and we're stepping up to the plate. It's doing good.
All right, so a little while back, you had your single "Easy to Slip." What are your thoughts on violence, particularly in our community?
I mean, what can they be other than it's a challenge that's going to be facing us. It's not going to go away with any Band-Aid solutions. And we really have to get to the core of what's causing these kids to turn to violence. And, you know, we can debate about a lot of things that outside influences, but ultimately it's the family and the core values that they're learning from when they're very young. And you have the whole issue of broken families and single parent families, and there's a lot of social and economic issues that are compounding it. And it's definitely something that we as a community have to own the issues that we have and take control of from that level before we can even be able to accept help from anywhere else. So there's a lot of things that we have to look at within ourselves to take care of first, to challenge that.
So growing up, you know, you can't really be immune to those type of social factors that contribute to, you know, possibly going that wrong direction. Yeah. How would you say music played a role in keeping you away from that, if it did at all?
Well, for me, I have to say I was blessed to have, you know, I had both of my parents growing up, and I came from a good house. But at the same time, you have friends and family who are in those situations, so I kind of experienced it from a different perspective. But I think that music really, everybody that I know who's come from that environment and puts all their energy into the music, like first thing you realize, you can see the intensity, because for them, they really see it as a way out. So just for them to be able to focus on music and have access to a studio and projects like Remix Projects that's doing a great job for getting kids to, in an environment, to do something positive. The very fact that, you know, the time you're spending writing that song or producing that beat or coming up with that idea or looking for samples is time that you're not spending on the street doing other things. I think that alone right there is definitely shows to be a positive thing.
All right, shifting gears a bit, can you tell us about what you're working on currently and what we can look forward to from you in the future?
Currently, I'm working on working on several things. One of the main things that I'm working on is my project. It's called The Departure. I released an album earlier this year called YYZT1 The Pre-Release, which is the mixtape leading up to the album, and that came off really well. Got great reviews on that for the singles that I released. So now we're looking at completing the album, and that should be coming out early 2010. And working on production for Cardinal's new album, Mr. International.
Yeah, I was about to ask
this
you
year.
about that. We saw you at the Urban Music Festival on stage, jumping, lots of energy.
That was crazy. I mean, that's what we do, and we've been touring for the last 2-3 years straight, and just talking about. We just came back from China, Singapore, India, and just laying down the foundation has been crazy. I mean,
where do you keep your batteries? Because you guys were, off for hours on that stage, nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, it really and truly, a lot of that energy, you have to have it in you, first of all, to give out. But energy is kinetic, and you get back what you give out. Once you give that energy and the crowd sees it and they see that you're there to give them a show, then they throw it back. And it's just like a tennis match, and it really goes back and forth, and that just generates it. And then by the end of the show, we're like, you have to change your outfit, have to change. On our rider, we have boxers and T-shirts because everything is soaked right after the show, because it's a workout. We don't even have to go to the gym anymore.
All right, so final thoughts.
Yes. Final thoughts, look out for Solitair's performance at Manifesto tonight, 7:25 p.m. It's going to be monumental. It's a lot of time, first time for a lot of y'all seeing a Solitair show, and I'm looking forward to put everything into it. And good luck to all the performers out there tonight. And thanks to Mayor Miller for letting us use Nathan Phillips Square. If I curse a couple of times, please forgive me. I curse like a sailor sometimes, but I'm going to tone it down, I promise. And thanks to all the Manifesto staff and volunteers for putting on a great show this year.
All right, thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Check 1 2 1 2. This is Solitaire, the one and only, nothing you expect, everything you don't, representing for the Black Jays Convict crew. And of course, I got to represent for my people, Soul 360 TV. You know what I'm talking about? Representing that T-Dot around the world. All right?